Hello, everybody. This is Maniac 4 Bricks, and I normally don't share my thoughts about LEGO news, although I do talk about it with some fans here and there offline. But I thought I'd share a little bit here about LEGO Indiana Jones. There have been several leaks of different sets that I thought would be fun to talk about. Now, the first one here is not an Indiana Jones set, and it is not a leak. This is a Prince of Persia set from like 2011, 2012. Why is it here? One of the earliest Lego set leaks I remember looking at online when I started getting into the community online was this set. This and in Atlantis and a few other ones, Power Miners as well. I remembered seeing in different images online, and I think this one was from a toy fair. It had like some sort of table layout with it. And from afar, because it wasn't like a very high quality image, from afar, I thought this was a Lego Indiana Jones set. And I'm like, oh, cool, they're continuing the theme because it's already been around for a while by that point. Oh, cool, they're continuing the theme. And this is based on The Last Crusade, like, with different obstacles getting to the Holy Grail. I'm probably completely wrong about that, and some of my vision or memory of the scene from the film might be blurred by the video game because it had a lot more obstacles of the Lego Indiana Jones video games. So it's kind of funny just looking back on this one, and it's not, again, an Indiana Jones set. It's a Prince of Persia set. I didn't even know that was a video game franchise, let alone a live action movie when this was coming out. So kind of caught me off guard. But it was just a fun thing I associate with Indiana Jones, so that's why I brought it up here. I thought it'd be fun to tell that story. Now, we're going to be moving on to the sets. I will be doing a little bit of comparison with the previous versions of very similar Indiana Jones sets based on other films. Now that we only have 3 images, and they're based on the original 3 Indiana Jones films. They're not based on Little Indiana Jones, they're not based on Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, as far as we know, and of course we're probably not going to see anything for the 5th Indiana Jones for quite some time. So, I'm going in movie order with these. The Lost Tomb, or Escape from the Lost Tomb, I think is the weakest of the 3 offerings so far. And you'll see more about that with the other ones as well. But compared to the original version of this set, it could have been so much more. Could have been so much greater. This one's a little more open-aired. I will give it that. So it's a little easier to play in. However, it doesn't look very enticing or exciting to play in. It doesn't have a lot more detail as the previous one did. So let me bring that up here. We actually have the arc, front and center. Yes, you still get that in the new one, so that's fine. But you have more of this tomb atmosphere around it. There's a little more color and texture to everything, even though not everything is. It's not a big slab like the new one is. You do have these walls that you can still knock these statues over to cut out the wall or whatever. That's fine. And you still have snakes, so you can scatter around here, but it looks more inventive with its play features, at least from this perspective. I never owned this set, by the way, so I don't have any bias as to growing up with it. I've just only seen images of this thing. I don't even think I've even seen a video review of the set, but it looks more proper. It looks good compared to this one, where it seems like there's a little bit more. It also feels weird to me to say it looks too blocky, because Lego is okay to be blocky, like for the most part. And there are other Lego sets that I've liked that some people said were too blocky that I was okay with. But it's just we've lived in an age now of Lego where we're so used to very contouring lines and very sculpted details on things to be super accurate and shapely that the blocky stuff stands out by comparison. So it's actually funny to me that I'm not a fan of the statues and don't grab me in the same way as the previous ones just for that measure its own. I don't know if this is supposed to be a sticker or a print, but it's on a tile. And I feel like that could have been done with 2 plates or tiles overlapping each other and it would look just fine. Like, does this really need to be its own decal? I don't think so. I can understand the one around the head. That would work fine, but this is easy. This is barely anything that needs to be detailed that a Lego piece or 2 could not do. But yeah, this wall back here feels kind of drab to me. It just like even I can tell that there's just like prints or stickers on pieces, and it's just all flat. It has not a lot of things going on with it that stand out from the wall. Why wouldn't there be any kind of brick layering thing like they do in some of the modular sets? I don't know. Um, I hope I'm wrong about many of these things. I really hope this thing is better than I'm looking at. And there's the arc over there. We also get more minifigures with this one as well, so there's a little bit of an upgrade to that, because I don't think we got two of these minifigures previously, so that is cool. And you still got the play function of knocking over the wall structure with the statue. That's fine, but I don't know. I'm not feeling this one a lot right now. I also feel like there's an older snake mold that LEGO used that could have easily been used in here and many other things. I'll have a video talking about that and some other things later because that basically inspired that video. So I'm going to move on for now. Temple of Doom, second film. I do not like this film as much as the other films, and it's not even because of the gore. It's not even because how graphic it can be. It's just not as memorable for me. I mean, yeah, you would think those things would stand out and therefore be memorable, whether or not it's a good thing. But I genuinely do not remember elements of this film, even after watching it multiple times, even after the Lego sets, even after the Lego video games. Just can't remember it from start to finish as I can with Last Crusade, whatever you call it, Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's it. Thank you. And even Kingdom of the Crystal Skull to some extent. Like those all somehow I can remember sequentially better than Temple of Doom. That being said, this is a really good copy of Temple of Doom. This is a great build of it, has a great design. I really like how this thing came together. The track system works much better in this set than the previous one, in my opinion. This is using the same kind of track that you see for roller coasters. I think a couple other minecarts have used this as well, like Black Panther. And I also like the way that it wraps around the back of the building while still being functional. So that way, if you're going to put this somewhere, it doesn't take up an engorging amount of space like the original one did. So if I scroll over to that, you don't have a lot of a build going on over here. Not a lot of things you can do with it. It really is just kind of building up the height of it. The track looks very mundane and not much going on with the actual pieces on it. Yeah, you have a little bit of play features here and there, but you can tell it's very lackluster in comparison. The track itself is also much wider, and only get to do so much out of it. The minecarts I did like. They were kind of cool. And this little area is neat, but there's really not much else to do with this. You only have two kinds of track pieces that are being used in this copy of the set originally. It's either a slope that's straightforward, or you have a curve. That's it. And balancing between those makes it really stretch out, which can be fun for a playset, but also a tedious thing to move around or situate somewhere. And again, this area looks very plain by comparison to the other one. So I do like this one much greater. It looks a lot better this way. I don't know if this statue area in the back is supposed to move, but it still looks very nice, however way you split it. And of course, you have a very good cast of characters to go with this, just like in the original. Now, we move over... Wait. And apparently it's something battery operated? Oh, okay. That's a neat little feature too, I noticed. Now we move over to The Last Crusade. And this one I was genuinely curious about. I was really curious about any of them, especially Raiders and Last Crusade. But I was genuinely curious about them because of how they would handle military. In the past, LEGO has said that they're not into making LEGO sets that are based on military. However, there are some limits as to what they consider military. Star Wars, technically, that's military, but it's fictional. It's sci-fi, so it's okay. Indiana Jones, they've kind of crossed a line here and there, but they still element it as fiction. And it's old world kind of military. It's not modern military, you know. This is something that's from like World War II era or Cold War era, if you count Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with the Russian soldiers. So even back then, They did modify uniforms, so they weren't completely accurate for the right reasons, which I'm fine with. It's actually funny that the Lego Indiana Jones video game did make German soldiers all blonde and have blue eyes. I didn't think they could do that. I didn't think they would get away with that, but they did. So the Lego sets, they didn't have that. And they didn't have any other features, as we know. I'm going to leave it at that. But as far as the military aspect of any of these sets, greatly reduced. Obviously, they're cutting down the number of sets and getting to basic, iconic scenes from each of these films without too much embellishing from before. So we're not, getting a whole lot of different military sets in general, which is fine. I'm totally okay with that. I'm also fine with the fact that this is so far the only one we actually know that has German soldiers in it. And even at that, it only has one in that set, and it's a pilot in that set. So anybody who would be more inspired recently to army build with German soldiers from Lego is gonna have a hard time with that. And I think that's all for the best. This is a good way that they've handled it, whether or not this is actually something, greatly considered, but is worth noting because I myself and other Lego fans have noticed about that over time, about how they dance around the military violence element in Lego sets and themes, usually from licensed themes. But we all know about the Osprey from Technic back in 2020. So, I mean, arguably there were ones before that and they just got a repaint, but I digress. I think we're already digressed enough. So this one, as a plane, looks fine. I think this is actually a very good-looking plane. It looks more accurate than the original one to the film. The only problem I have with it is maybe it's just because of the blurriness of the image or the angle that the plane is flying. It looks like the cockpit is really large, wide-wise as well, compared to the wings. I feel like the wings might have to be a little bit bigger or a little bit longer compared to that. But I could be, I could have my mind changed about that sometime later. But I think at a glance, it does look perfectly fine. It does get across what it needs to, and it looks good at it. As far as the car, it seems fine. I don't remember specifically what the car was like in the scene of the film. If I remember correctly, this is the scene where they basically run off to the beach, running away from German soldiers, and it's when Dr. Jones Sr. is using his umbrella to get the seagulls out. I don't see any seagulls in the set. I think it would be nice to include in there, but whatever. Okay. I don't know if that's maybe it's not the right scene. I don't know. I could be wrong. But if it's the scene I'm thinking of, yeah, that would have been nice to have there. Compared to the closest thing we had before, this is what the German plane looked like originally. This one had much longer wings from what it looks like. The cockpit was a lot more basic, which could be good or bad. I think the new one actually looks better in that way. And this is a very straightforward build. There's not a lot of interesting building techniques and not a lot of things that stand out with it. Again, it goes back to that whole blocky nature of Lego where it's like, to some degree, yeah, you can allow that and it would be fine. But by comparing both of these to each other, I would prefer the new one. And I never owned this one either. Actually, none of the sets that I am comparing these to, I've ever owned. I've owned a whole bunch of Indiana Jones sets, but they're not ones getting remade. So, again, there's no bias there. But this one in particular is dealing more with a scene before that in the film where they're flying the plane to try to get away. I think it's after they leave the blimp or something like that. And, of course, has this little play feature in the back, which is funny, of having, Dr. Jones sitting back here. You can actually fire these little bits out and then accidentally shoot off the plane. Like, it actually can separate. That's really cool. I like that at the time, just seeing that in the magazines. But, yeah, I think it's a welcome change. I think this is okay. That it's just one plane, one car, works fine. You have one German soldier, yes, but he's a pilot, so he's going to have more particular printing, so it's not going to be an army building kind of figure, and it's also one of it, and set with, over 300, almost 400 pieces. So getting multiples of the set to build up a German army of sorts out of Lego in modern times would not work. You just have to keep searching back, which is only going to get more elusive and expensive than it was way back in the day. So this is all good. This is all welcome change. I also notice that in some of these sets, it looks like Indiana Jones has some hair coming out of the sides of his hat. So I'm led to believe that it's either a new mold or it's the same one that is used from Toy Story 4, where Woody was given a hat that had a little bit of hair showing underneath it. I don't remember if the Woody from Toy Story 4 was more special that way, because Woody does have a very stylized version of hat in comparison. But this would be cool. This is a cool, welcome thing. I do hope that it's the same, because I'm already working on a video. I've been working on it since like last night. I've been working on a video about Lego elements that are just one-offs that don't have to be. They feel like a big waste, in my opinion. I kind of mentioned this before with the snakes in the Lost Tomb set. The ones that are here are fine, but there are other ones that could have been used that would work so well in a scene like this. Like ones back from the Snake Charmer CMF. Yeah, that was years ago, but there are so many other times in between they could have been used that would have been just fine. And in different colors, in different prints, it would have, yeah. So that's a video to look out for. Hopefully I'll actually upload it, because I've been writing video essays for Lego stuff and video game stuff for almost years now. It's the actual process of getting them up that takes a little bit more, but I really want to think more in that way. So this is kind of something for now, getting my thoughts out there, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think about these sets in the comments down below. Obviously, images are all over the place if you want to find those. I don't know if I'm going to do this for every single Lego news or leak or anything like that. I guess it's if I have something more prominent to say about them. And I hope to see you next time with more videos.